Rise and shine, YouTube world. It's your boy, Do-Rag Steve. Yes, indeed. Out here early in the morning. I just want y'all to see the aesthetics where I'm at. Check it out. I'm gonna give y'all a quick scan. Like I said, y'all, out here with nature. I'm outside all the time. So, just want to wish y'all a happy, blessed Sunday. But by the time y'all see this, it'll be probably a day or two or maybe 3 later, depending on when I upload and drop. But this video is going to be personal. It's going to be a little emotional, I have to say, and it's going to be real, of course. You know, through Rag Steve, we keep it 100. So there's a lot of people out here in this park. It's beautiful, and we're gonna get right to it. So this video is going to be about my journey from the projects, from where I grew up, to peace. So let me stop for a second, because I just want to show y'all. So this hat that I'm wearing right here, let me put it down. Is where I grew up at. The projects was called Robert F. Wagner Houses. And the hat that I'm wearing is my grandmother's hat. God rest her soul. My angel's looking down on me. So I was raised, now I'm going back to when I was a pup, because this started way back then in Harlem, New York, East Side. So I was raised by my grandparents, and in my building, I'm gonna tell a little information, but you know, that's why I'm under Do-Rag Steve, because you know, I ain't trying to let my government name be out here in these streets or in this internet and in this world. You know, you gotta keep things 75, 25, 80, 20, 50. You gotta go further down in the percentages. But anyway, let me get back to it. I can kind of go off the rails sometime. But yeah, so I grew up there, and like Jay said, and y'all need to listen to that album, Reasonable Doubt, in the song Can I Live, when he describes the projects where he grew up at, Marcy Projects. You know, people living next door to you, people living in the side of you, people living on top of you, people living under you. Yeah, so in my projects, it was 8 apartments to each floor, 16 flights. So you have to understand. And the thing is, and the dichotomy of it all is, yeah, you understand. I'm not gonna try to get y'all dizzy. I just want to keep the aesthetics as best I can. This is a beautiful park. All of these different personalities, all of these different families. I hate to say it, sometimes broken families, and the conditions that surrounds most hoods in America. And I could say that I haven't been to every hood in America, but in New York, I've been to a lot of different projects. Like I told y'all, I played basketball, and basketball saved my life. Literally, it did, because it kept me off those streets, even though I'm in the streets, but it kept me off the streets, meaning, you know, not getting into any of the trappings that you would get into, like selling drugs, like robbing people, any of those things, you know, to get what I would call now, in my wisdom, instant gratification. Shout out to my partner, my homeboy, Donald XL Robinson. He's also on YouTube. I need to go pull up to him, subscribe, and check him out. Very intelligent dude, very empowering dude. And his thing is music, but at the same time, if that's what you're into, he's teaching you all the different things as a producer, and also giving wisdom and giving you jewels to become self-sufficient and empowering, and to build your own business ultimately. Just want to give that quick shout out. But back to the projects. So shout out to Dodash, shout out to Dante London, and I think her name is Crimson. So this subject of the projects has been talked about, and obviously it's gotten a lot of views. Now, I've watched some of these videos, and I know there's different things, one side telling, and I don't want it to be all negative, and I'm gonna put out the quick positives of growing up in the hood and growing up in those environments. And the positives are, you basically learn how to survive. You learn how to, in those streets and in those environments, you learn, how to survive, and how to hustle, and how to be able to do with not a lot. And what I want y'all to understand and know, that those things are set up for you to fail. The liquor stores, the foods that they have in these particular, in these neighborhoods, and then the lack thereof, just the lack. So what happens is, and this is America and society, they did this on purpose because they wanted us to be in a cycle of lack, a cycle of survival, a cycle of just not being able to get a lot of opportunity. And then when you stack people the way they stack people in all these different buildings, now, yes, and I will say this, you can be able to coexist and live, if everybody is living righteous and good, and if everybody is taking care of where they live, not only in the apartment, because that's what it is, apartments where you live outside of the apartments. But unfortunately, you have good and you have evil. And when people, depending on their circumstances, is put in those conditions, unfortunately, you're going to have the other side and the bad side, because people just, like I said, want to survive. And in America, where you see the capitalism and the opportunity of getting wealth, and you see the glorification of it, then what are you going to do? You obviously want those material things, or want that type of life, what they call, and what has been said from not only people that live here, but immigrants that come into this country, the American dream. When they say the American dream is freedom first and foremost. 2, being able to do anything you want to do as far as work-wise, and to make as much money as possible for the most part without being controlled, or all of it taken away from you, or your rights being taken away from you. So I just want to get that out there. Harlem, where I grew up, is a beautiful place. As sometimes in parts of history, we had black leaders that tried to empower and tried to organize and get us to think intelligently and to empower ourselves. And I'm black, in case y'all didn't know. But that's been the whole thing with us in our race since we've been in this society, or since we've been in this land called America, is we've been trying to empower ourselves, because when our ancestors was brought here, we were stripped of everything. So therefore, our identity, our religion, who we are, and basically our homeland, which is, when you trace most of us, and even throughout this whole world, is the most beautiful content and the most resourceful content, that's Africa. That's another video, I'll get into it. So let's get back to the projects. So what I was saying to you, instant gratification. instant gratification is when I grew up there, and what I saw, and it still goes on, is drugs. Drugs was put into our communities. Drugs was put to destroy us. Drugs was put to, when you go to the higher levels of the people that's putting the drugs in there, they're very wealthy. So therefore, that was what I saw. I seen the drug dealers, I seen them on the block, I seen them selling. I was around in the crack epidemic, it nearly destroyed our communities. And what happens is, the glorified side about it, you see the drug dealers, it was the cars, it was the clothing, it was the jewelry, it was the different material things that you can gain from having the money. But the flip side to it was people getting these drugs, killing themselves, getting hooked on them, and then the result is either death, either being strung out, and then you just tearing your families down, or the people that sold it eventually getting caught and being in prison, which is a system that's set up specifically, and I'm gonna say for minorities and blacks too. I mean, it's whites there too, but for us to continue the slavery, because that's what that is. And it's all within the system. So I say all that to say is that growing up in those environments, you also get PTSD. And this is me telling my personal story. I seen friends that I grew up with that were killed. I seen friends that I grew up with that died, unfortunately, from certain circumstances from growing up in those environments. And then, you see all the different things that happen. I seen people commit suicide, jumping off the top of a project building. All of those things affect you psychologically. And it for me, and I can only speak for myself, it kind of built sort of a love-hate relationship with where I grew up at. And only because my spirit and energy, I just always questioned like why I was even here, and I'm being honest. And probably there are other people that grew up in the projects probably said the same thing. But what it did for me, it gave me a determination, and it gave me the will to be like, this is not it for me. This is not the end. And through all the drama, the gunshots, the sirens, people that I grew up, unfortunately dying too young, people that I love. And I want to say this and put this out here because I don't want people to look at this video and think that I hate the hood and I hate where I grew up at. I don't, and I didn't, because there are beautiful people there. There are people that I'm still, know and in contact with. We call it our day ones. Shout out to them. They know who they are. But all those environments has shaped us in a positive or in a negative way. And even if you went down those negative roads, and I've said this in videos prior, and you were able to get out of those circumstances, or, some people had to do some time, or some people that went to, drug rehab and rehabilitated themselves, they were able to get a second, third chance, or whatever chance, and that's God. Just want you to know that, because it wasn't your time yet, and God bless them because they were able to figure out their wrongs. And when you find God, and then you go down that road, and the righteous road, you start going to right, and you start figuring it out. It's not all about the money. It's not all about the materialistic things. It's all about gratitude, life, peace. So I named this video From the Projects to Peace was because that's all I wanted. I just wanted peace. I've been moving, I've been growing up, I've been going through different things to get to the peace. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this and shoot it in the park today And by the lake was because you get this peace from the lake, from nature, to be able to think, to be able to clear your mind, to be able to figure out what is your purpose and what's your goals and what you want to do in life. Unfortunately, growing up in those projects, and there are people that I know that's still there. Matter of fact, and I'll just drop another truth, my uncle is still there. So I'm in Los Angeles. When I go back home, because I still call it home to New York, obviously I go back to where I grew up at. I see the people that I grew up with, and I go see my uncle. My uncle is settled there. My uncle is in his 70s, and he's been there most of his life. Is he happy? He's making the best of where he's at. And sometimes, and to speak for the people that are still there, they make the best of where they're at. And I know if it was up to them, they would want their environment to be better. Even if they don't ever want to move out of there, even if they are satisfied and comfortable with being there. They don't want to have to walk outside and hear gunshots. They don't want to have to walk outside of their apartment and people be smoking and being loud. They don't want to have to walk outside and be seeing, people being threatened and all of those, negative things. But it's a cycle. And when it's a cycle, it becomes continuous until it becomes an end in death, imprisonment, or alcohol and drugs just capturing you so much that you just have, you hopefully get to a point where you go get help, and then you get the help, and then you find yourself, and then you understand why you went down those unfortunate roads, and then you get to a place where, you have peace, and now you can hopefully live whatever life you have left and live a productive life. And that's really what it's all about. It's just living a good life and having a purpose. With me, that was my purpose. There's other circumstances, the reason why it shaped me and made me that way. But in the end, it was, that was the reasons why, and what gave me motivation to get out the projects. Because like Dante London said, he's another YouTuber, small creator. Shout out to you, Dante. Maybe you'll see my video one day. Much success. He was talking about living in lower income and how he became, I guess, comfortable and lazy, and he just was like, yeah, man, I have to get this type of mindset and get out of that condition. And I felt that, and I understand. And that's just overall. And not to say there's anything wrong with being comfortable, but if you want to be comfortable, you want to be where everything is set as far as your life and the position you have in life. But yes, being in those type of living environments, you will unfortunately adopt negative attributes. And it's, and like I said, going back to instant gratification, unfortunately, and even with me, that has happened to me, is this chase of the bag, this chase of money, and it's really a tool. Like your basic necessities should be taken care of. I did videos on that. Your health care, a roof over your head, food to eat. Those things should be taken care of. And there's a system that can have those basic needs taken care of. We have different programs. Obviously, a lot of things is going on with this administration. And, is again, it's about survival. And the one thing I can say and that's just not only the environment I grew up in, but even black people for the most part, we know how to survive. We've had the odds, we've had a lot of things pit against us that has gave us endurance, that has given us strength. So despite how we may feel and the emotions that we go through, we know how to survive. So I don't, like I said, I embrace everything, and good experiences and bad experiences. And unfortunately, even where I grew up at, it's still wild. They called my area and that section the Wild 100s. I grew up on 120th Street, First Ave in Pleasant, 445. And there's two sections in our projects. It was section 1, section 2. So, yeah, you go inside and we call it the jungle. Yeah, it's a lot going on, and a lot of times it's just, and it's sad, it's just broken families. It's black boys or men like us that grew up without fathers. I didn't grow up with my father. I grew up with my grandfather, and yeah, he was trying to figure it out and trying to get his life. He was known in the neighborhood. My grandmother was known in the neighborhood. But at the end of the day, God bless them because they kept me off the streets. They were strict. They, taught me from what they knew what was right and what was wrong. Me personally, yeah. I just, I do this character, Do-Rag Steve, because, and I'm gonna say this part, movies and television and rap music. And thank God for rap, because rap gave a vehicle for a lot of people in the hoods, not only in Harlem, but all over America and probably outside the world. It's amazing what hip hop has done. Has given a vehicle for people to become successful and even become very wealthy, and got them out of their circumstances. And they were able, just like sports, just like, any entertainment, opportunities to have a better life and to provide for your family. But the flip side of it, and the negative side, is glorification of violence and glorification of being a gangster and glorification of being a drug dealer. Now, I'm not gonna lie, certain things like Scarface and the movies and those certain things, it's a certain attraction to it, because it's like, yeah, the bad guy, the gangster, they hard, they just have that persona, that look, that swag. So it's understandable. Even me calling myself Do-Rag Steve, you see certain people in do-rags, and even the rapper DMX, he represented a lot of people in the hoods. He represented that side. But DMX was a very spiritual person. DMX, you can tell, been through a lot. And what rap music did, and what it used to do before now with this craziness and a lot of drug type of rap and glorification of it. But rap in my days, when I grew up, it was balance. It was about empowerment. It was about, telling your stories, but you telling them because you're being like the CNN of the hood. Shout out to Nas, shout out to Jay, shout out to all those dudes, KRS-One. I can go on and on, that told stories about our life, our conditions. Even NWA, they told their stories about LA, Compton, South Central, Nip, same thing, Rolling 60s, telling their conditions. But the ones that were influenced by the Malcolm X's, Martin Luther King's, by the Marcus Garvey's, by all the different leaders, Elijah Muhammad, all the Louis Farrakhan, all the different leaders, they taught empowerment. And when we tried to do empowerment, unfortunately, it was cut short. That's not by coincidence. So throughout history, and that's what's been our plight is trying to come together as one and have empowerment. See, this society is twisted, and me and my partner, we call it the grid. There's different forms of it, but basically it's keeping you inside cages, and there are studies that are done on this, and it makes you go into or switch to survival mode. And once you switch to survival mode, it can go either way. You know, and some people, again, going back to instant gratification, they want that instant gratification because they don't have the patience or they don't have the knowledge to know you have to work hard, you have to push, you have to be persistent in order to become successful. The instant gratification is all temporary. It's a quick fix, as they call it in drugs, or being on dope or anything like that. You want that quick satisfaction, that dopamine. And we even get it now in social media. But we have to understand that in order to have long-term or internal things to be in our lives, you have to be patient, you have to work hard, and you have to figure it out. I think I've done a good job so far figuring it out. And my prayer to everybody that grow up in those hoods or is in the projects or anything, your life is a great life. This is not the end for you, and it won't be. The circumstances you may think is bleak or it's not, nothing is going to happen. No, that's not true. You're looking at someone that came from there. And look where I'm at now. I'm in Los Angeles, California. I live a pretty good, decent life, and I'm blessed. But I had to work hard for it. I had to figure it out, and I had to, you know, make my way and make decisions to stay away from the negative trappings. So I say all that to say is, I don't forget where I come from. I'm always going to have certain aspects from where I come from. I appreciate when I was on the block, so to speak. I appreciate basketball because it brought me to different neighborhoods and different environments. It kept me off the streets. I appreciate the people that I knew and grew up with, good and bad, because what it taught me was to understand what is right and what is wrong. And I just pray for everyone, and I pray for them, and even anybody that grew up in those environments, because when you do, you understand that you're just trying to make a way and trying to get out of there. And for those that don't, that's okay too, because you got to make a life of your own. But at the same time, you just have to know what's best for you. A lot of times, and I would just say this last, and it used to make me laugh. I used to see, and I'ma just call it like white folks. They, you know, that are wealthy. It just was so funny to me. They wanted to take our flavor and I guess the aspects of being the bad guy, being the gangster and all that. And they wanted to, and that influenced them, which was crazy to me. But I used to laugh and I used to say, like, I guess that's cool for y'all to do that, but if you were to grow up in those environments and not have anything and have lack, it wouldn't be so cool, because we rather be where you all are at. You see, I've been to enough places, and I now see, especially out here, the wealth and people living in these huge mansions and houses. That's generational wealth. And they didn't have to deal with a lot of the things that we had to deal with, the violence, the drugs, seeing people die, unfortunately, for circumstances that they weren't even involved in. They live in, white folks for the most part, or people who are wealthy, live in safe environments, and they live in peace, you see? So, yeah, that's a whole nother subject, and I don't want to get into it, but I gotta tell you, Do-Rag Steve gonna tell you the truth and gonna give you the real, and gonna tell it, you know, like it is. So I say all that to say, and I'm going to end this video on this, is that, you know, whatever your situation or environment is, keep yourself safe. Always know that you have to always get better. And as long as you're trying to get better, that's what counts. I don't want to, you know, put any negative things on where I grew up at, but I did know, and this is only speaking for me, I wanted a better life. And most importantly, if I have any children, and I only have one, I wanted, and I have a daughter, I wanted her to have a better life. And I think I've accomplished that, and I'm proud of myself for that. So this is Steve Billionaire speaking as well, but at the same time, I think y'all understand now if you've been watching my videos. This is Do-Rag Steve being outside, and what that means is he's gonna tell the truth. He's not gonna take any ish from no one, and he's gonna be himself. You see. Hey, you all. I had a little technical difficulty because the video was long, so I'm back on my makeshift stoop on the block. But I just wanted to end my video saying, called From Peace to the Projects, is don't allow your circumstances or your environment to define you. You can do whatever you want in this world. It is up to you to change your circumstances, your mindset, and everything else. Don't allow any negative environments or circumstances or situations define who you are, because as long as you have God in your life, you can overcome anything. And I'm going to leave you with this scripture from Romans 12:21, and it reads, "Do not allow evil to overcome you. You overcome evil." And how you overcome evil is doing what's right. Don't allow instant gratification to make you go down the direction of doing evil things in order to gain what will ultimately be temporary success. Don't allow it. Don't allow none of those things. I want to give a shout out to my grandmother. I love you. And this is her hat, and I will always keep it until I leave, and I'll probably pass it on to my daughter, because the center that she went to, which was in my building, meant so much to her. She was able to play bingo. She was able to be with her friends, and she was able to have her peace in her environment, all the things that she wanted to have and enjoy in her quality life. So shout out to Wagner Community Center. I always have love for y'all also, because y'all at least gave an escape not only for senior citizens, but you also gave a way for the kids in Wagner and in the neighborhood. So shout out to Wagner Community Center. I hope it's still there. It should be still there. I got to get back home. But anyway, y'all, thank you for watching this video. If you watched it long enough, it would definitely up my watch hours. It's very informative. It's personal. I just hope that it resonated with someone, or it spoke to someone, especially in any hood, not only in America, but in the world. You know, it's up to you to do whatever you want to do in your life to make it best and to make it great. So I pray for you all. I pray for everyone to have a great and productive life. Please subscribe, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Do-Rag Steve, he's always outside. He's always going to tell the truth. Leave any comments. Love to hear comments. I love to get feedback. All right, y'all. Y'all take care. I report Do-Rag Steve, and I'm out.